Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Preston here. And, basically, this is, my preview and prediction, for, this fight that's going to be on the Gervonta Tank Davis versus the Lamont Roach Jr. Undercard, and stuff like that. And it's going to be Alberto Puello versus Sandor Martin, and stuff like that, And, honestly, though, I understand, it's not two undefeated fighters and stuff like that, but if you're a real, if you really, really know boxing and stuff like that, this is a good, statistically good fight, and stuff like that, this is a very, very good fight in my opinion, and stuff like that, because both these fighters are boxing type fighters, and stuff like that, we got the distance manager of Alberto Puello, and then we have the outside fighter of Sandor Martin. But then also, Alberto Puello, and stuff like that. He also does have underrated, inside boxing skill, and he actually does do pretty good in the inside, and stuff like that. He knows how to, not waste any punches, and stuff like that, and then go to the outside and stuff like that, but then Sandor Martin and stuff like that, he's very good at utilizing, picking his shots and then making sure that his shots are being are good and stuff like that, and then he moves around, outboxes you, and stuff like that. This is going to be a very, good fight in my opinion between both these fighters. But basically, both these fighters' most notable wins and stuff like that, is, Alberto Puello's most notable win, I would say, is Gary Antoine Russell, who is a fighter that's on this card who's going to be fighting Jose Valenzuela. And I'm going to be doing that card too after, I'm going to be doing, Gary Antoine Russell's fight after this fight, and stuff like that. But that was, coincidentally, his most notable win and stuff like that, I mean, you also could say Batir Akhmedov, but, you could say that Batir Akhmedov is kind of older now, and stuff like that, and he was kind of more of like a past generational boxer, and stuff like that. I would at least say, in my opinion, and stuff like that, but that's the thing and stuff like that. But still, that win against Gary Antoine Russell was still a really damn good win, though. But then, a lot of people were saying how, they had Gary Antoine Russell going into that fight. I don't know if I actually said this yet, and stuff like that, but I actually had Alberto Puello, and stuff like that going into that fight, him winning that fight. And he was like, a 3-1 underdog or some shit, and stuff like that. Like, he was a really big underdog in that fight, but I still, had a lot of confidence that he was going to still beat Gary Antoine Russell, and stuff like that, because he's quick, he has great boxing skill. And the one thing with Gary Antoine Russell is that he kind of struggles at trying to quickly go into the inside, because sometimes he'll get misbalanced and stuff like that, and and stuff like that, and would be kind of textbook, and and stuff, and his punch wouldn't land as soon, and stuff like that. And going against somebody like Puello, if your punch isn't gonna land as soon like that, you're not going to be able to do anything and shit like that. I mean, you're going to be able to land the shot, but, somebody could just land 5 jabs on you and just 10 combos on you and stuff like that, and then in the midst of when you land a shot, you could just throw a counter or whatever and stuff like that. And that's why I picked Puello in that fight, and stuff like that. And who ended up winning that fight was Alberto Puello, and stuff like that, And it was a good fight, but Puello schooled the shit out of him in that fight, though. I'm not going to lie, though, and stuff like that. He gave him a schooling. But just so you guys know, FYI. But Sandor Martin's most notable wins, and stuff like that, I mean, realistically, I mean, Mikey Garcia, but in my opinion, I mean, I thought he won that fight against, Teofimo Lopez, and stuff like that, well, actually, no, I don't think he won the fight. I feel like it was a close fight. I mean, I felt like Teo probably edged the fight, actually, in my opinion, and stuff like that. I did actually feel like Teo edged the fight, but it's just, I feel like he kind of won in his eyes and shit, in Sandor Martin's eyes, because, he dropped Teofimo Lopez, and he kind of gave Teofimo a good schooling in a lot of the rounds, and that's why Teofimo had to, come back and, and beat Sandor Martin and stuff like that, and you could have easily argued that that fight could have been a draw, and stuff like that, but at the same time doing shit like that, they didn't score it a draw, and and in my opinion, the right man won and stuff like that, but yeah. But before I go and do this, sorry if, if the photos are kind of crooked, and stuff like that. I'm just trying to, quickly, just try to get things done and stuff like that, but basically, we're going to start with Alberto Puello. Alberto Puello, 23-0 with 10 knockouts, but don't let those 10 knockouts underestimate his power, because he does have some pop with his punches, and he can, drop you if you're not being cautious about what you're doing, and stuff like that, so it's like he does got some pop. Sandor Martin, incredibly more experienced and stuff like that, 42-3 with 15 knockouts. Both fighters don't really have, much knockouts really, and stuff like that, in total, and stuff like that, not very good at math, and stuff like that, but I think in total that's 25 knockouts all in total for both these fighters. But basically, you now seen, what their records are and stuff like that, So, and stuff like that, now, like it's on to like my preview and prediction, because I'm trying to make this quick so then I can get onto the other fights and stuff like that, like and stuff, because also there's UFC and stuff that I need to get to, and I don't even know what's on the undercard. But basically, and stuff like that, I'm showing love to this fight, because this is a damn good fight. But yeah, and stuff like that. But let's start off with, let's see, Puello, start off with Puello, and stuff like that, so like, so Alberto Puello, and stuff like that, he's a very, articulate type of fighter, and stuff like that. But that's the thing, and Puello, he's a very, talented fighter, and stuff like that, and, he does very, very good at, utilizing, the outside, movement and shit. But he does really, really good at, again, I don't know if I pointed it out, I might have did, but, he does really, really good at distance management and stuff like that, and stuff like that. And he does really, really good at boxing with distance management and stuff like that, and he also has underrated, inside boxing skills, and stuff like that. Like, he makes sure he keeps a high guard, very creative with the high guard, and stuff like that, and and then he just boxes very, very well. I believe he boxes in, like the southpaw position, and stuff like that. But he kind of has like awkward stances, and shit like that. But I think it's mainly like the southpaw position, and stuff like that. But basically, that was just to show you the truth that, I was actually speaking the truth that, Alberto Puello is a southpaw. But besides that, and stuff like that, like, he's a very, very good fighter, and stuff like that. And sometimes he'll accidentally switch, sometimes when he's in the center of the ring, he's southpaw, and stuff like that. But sometimes when he has to switch and go across the ring, like certain boxers, like they can't just stick to one stance, and stuff like that, Honestly, like it's a lot more easier that you have to just sometimes switch to go and move around and stuff like that, and that's like what Alberto Puello does very, very well, and stuff like that, and he does carry some pop. He's quick with his punches and with his, good techniques, and stuff like that. But next is Sandor Martin, and stuff like that, But basically Sandor Martin and stuff like that, like, he's a good fighter, and stuff. And honestly, I genuinely feel like in the bottom of my heart, and stuff like that, that Sandor Martin, he's an underrated fighter in my opinion. Like you could like hate me or whatever I say, and stuff like that, but I'm just saying he's an underrated fighter. Like I know, like he only like beat up an old washed up Mikey Garcia, but at the same time he put up a really good fight with Teofimo Lopez, and stuff like that. He made Teofimo Lopez look really amateur in that fight, and honestly that fight could have gone either way and stuff like that, between Sandor Martin and Teofimo Lopez. And, and it's like, he's underrated, man, like, in my opinion, and stuff like that, because, I understand he doesn't have much knockouts, but what is he like 45-4 and shit, and stuff like that or whatever. Like, I mean, you can't get that record out of nowhere and stuff like that, like that's the thing. Like, eventually, when you have like that many fights, you start fighting, tough oppositions and stuff like that, and that's the thing. And you have to evidently have some type of talent, and stuff like that if you have that type of record, and stuff like that, or 4 losses. If I said 45-3, I'm sorry, but he's 45-4, excuse me, and stuff like that, But yeah, so 45-4, I think. I don't know if you want to go back and look. I fucking forgot, and stuff like that. But but he's a good fighter, and he's quick, and he's elusive. And honestly, he's kind of like a Puello. He's underrated with his power. Because he's underrated with his power because like he's quick, but but it's like he like that one like tap that he touches you with with his punch, Sandor Martin, and stuff like that. Like, he damages you and stuff like that a little bit. Like, not like Gervonta Davis. I didn't mean to like make it out to be like that dramatic and shit, but I'm just saying like that he still can shock you and shit. Be like, okay, well, I need to like start backing up a little bit. I need to get this dude some respect, like that type of respect, and stuff like that, because he can drop you like without you knowing and stuff. But it's not like he could put your lights out. But anybody Sandor Martin can drop, and that's still a good type of skill and technique to have in your pocket and stuff like that. If that makes sense, and stuff like that. But if I did procrastinate a little bit, and stuff like that, I do apologize, and stuff like that. But yeah, and stuff like that, But what these fighters need to do to winning this fight. So, let's start off with Puello again and stuff like that, So what Puello needs to do in this fight and stuff like that is that I don't think he really needs to focus, on anything when it comes down to like, insight fighting and shit like that. Even though like if it does, end up, sorry about the sirens and shit, and stuff like that, the 12. But basically like, like, you could use that inside skill and shit like that, you can. But at the same time, though, it's like Sandor Martin is the type of fighter where he's going to avoid any conflict in the inside and shit. Like, he's going to try to fight you and have conflict in the outside and fight you from the outside, and stuff like that. So he needs to more just kind of dictate that ring, utilize the jab, and stuff like that, and kind of just, because, the thing is, though, with Sandor is that he does really good against fighting people that, move too much and don't have much good defense, and stuff. Like, not, like, together, but, like, separated. Like, people who don't defend themselves very well, and then people who just move around the ring too much and stuff like that, Like, those type of people, like, if you're too much into that zone and stuff like that, like, Sandor Martin's gonna school you, and I'm just gonna say that with like confidently that he'll school anybody that's gonna go and do that, and stuff like that, So like Puello, needs to kind of, like fight smart, utilize the jab, and shit, utilize, the boxing skill, and stuff like that, and, make sure that, he's, like in his own range and shit. What Puello needs to do and stuff like that is that he also needs to utilize counterpunching, because if he utilizes counterpunching and stuff like that, like, I feel like, like it's going to be really tough for Sandor Martin to come in the inside and stuff, because the thing is that Sandor Martin, he does like to kind of blitz in the inside where it's like, where it's like he doesn't really have any like grip, like and stuff like that to like, to like really like coming forward and stuff like that, like to have like a strong, urgency to coming, like not strong urgency, but basically being like a strong bull rusher and stuff like that, like that's the thing. Like, he doesn't have that footwork to doing that. So basically, like, if Puello can force, Sandor Martin into trying to bull rush and stuff like that, he can school, Sandor Martin, coincidentally and stuff like that. But it would be coincidental because, like both ways of how fighters are going to win and stuff like that, they both have a strong chance of, of winning a fight of what they're doing and stuff. But Puello, you just need to utilize, counter punching and stuff like that. Because if he can counter punch, Sandor Martin and stuff, again, he can make it really difficult, and stuff, because Sandor Martin is very light on his feet when he comes forward. That's the definition of what I was trying to say, is that he's very light on his feet of when he comes forward, and stuff like that, so like, Puello can just shoot the jab or just give him a combination and stuff like that and stop, Sandor Martin in his tracks and stuff like that, and then Puello can just move around the ring and, move his angles, on Sandor Martin and stuff like that. But here's my face, y'all. But like, that's basically what what's his name, Alberto Puello needs to do, to winning this fight and stuff like that. Is that he just really just needs to, again, just, do the tactics, what I said and stuff. But then, but for, Sandor Martin and stuff like that, what Sandor Martin needs to do to winning this fight and stuff like that, he just needs to do what he does, utilize his footwork and stuff like that, like, I wouldn't like exchange at all, and stuff like that. I would really just more just pick your shots, and stuff like that. Move, in the outs, like from the outside, because, because I wouldn't really rate Sandor Martin's like inside defensive skills very well. Like, he's more good at just not getting hit when he's like out, when he's in the outside. So that's what he really just needs to do, is to outstrike Puello in the outside. But if you are fighting from the outside and stuff like that, if I was, Sandor Martin and stuff like that, what I would do and stuff is that, if you're fighting from the outside, is that you need to let your hands go. Like, with Teofimo Lopez, I feel like, he would have won the fight if he was, like, just a little bit more, like, with, like, letting his hands go, with, like, keeping his distance with being in the outside and stuff like that, Like, I understand, him taking punches and stuff like that, but it's just like, in this fight, like, he needs to really train on that. He's going to take some punches, but he needs to learn how to do that and then, go to the outside and really just dictate the fight on going to the outside and just learn how to utilize the jab, keep on moving, and then, and then do the tactic of, just, keep on, just punching and stuff. Like, don't just stop and stuff like that, just be extremely active, because if he's extremely active, this would be a very impressive fight, and he honestly could win this fight. But now onto my prediction for this fight, and stuff like that. I think honestly though, like, a lot of people would just be thinking like this should be a cakewalk for Alberto Puello, but I do feel like this is honestly one of his toughest fights, and stuff like that, and could end up being, in my opinion, one of his, like, I would say, like, his toughest fight, and stuff like that, But this is my prediction and stuff like that, the early rounds and stuff like that, like, I do see it where, where Alberto Puello is is dictating the fight, pretty well, and stuff like that, utilizing the jab, I would say he's schooling, Sandor Martin, and stuff like that when it comes down to like the early rounds. I would say it would be like 4-0, in favor of Alberto Puello in the early rounds. But basically, in the mid rounds and stuff like that, I would say that, in the mid rounds and stuff like that, I would really say it's the same thing. I would say maybe Sandor Martin wins like 2 rounds, and stuff like that. I would say 2 rounds, out of the mid rounds and stuff like that. But I would say that's it. And I would say just the rest of the fight and stuff like that, I feel like just Sandor Martin would just have a difficulty trying to find, his range and stuff like that, and I just feel like that, this is, I feel like that Alberto Puello, even though this fight, like, it could end up being like his toughest fight in my opinion, like I said, but at the same time though, like, in my prediction, like, I just see him like outclassing, Sandor Martin throughout the whole time. I just feel like he's more just prone, than Sandor Martin. Because if Sandor Martin and stuff like that, Sandor and stuff like that, like, if if he was like more better at like fighting like in the inside and was able to have better defense and stuff like that, and didn't get hit as much, like, I feel like it would be a lot better of a fight. But just overall statistically, I just feel like either way and stuff like that, I just feel like Puello's just a better man, and stuff like that. I just feel like his technique is better, and stuff like that, and, just everything. I just feel like, when it comes down to Alberto Puello, and stuff like that, compared to Sandor Martin, Puello just has everything over, Sandor Martin, and stuff like that. So, yep. But that's my final prediction for this fight, is that I got Alberto Puello, winning this fight in pretty good fashion, and stuff like that. Not getting the stoppage. I do feel like eventually, and stuff like that, when Puello has more experience and stuff like that, I do feel like that, his power would start generating, and he would start knowing how to, get people out of there, because, he has the skill set and he does have the power to doing that, and stuff like that. It's just like, sometimes you need to learn how to do that, and stuff like that. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat. But basically, and stuff like that, like he would do that, and stuff like that. And I feel like, he would start getting people out of there, and I feel like, if he was up in that stage, I feel like, with Sandor Martin, and with this fight with Sandor Martin, I feel like he would get Sandor Martin out of there if he was, more like, like if he was better at like trying to get people out of there, and when he has more experience of getting people out of there, I feel like he would get Sandor Martin out of there, and stuff like that. But yeah, and again, thank y'all for watching this video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I got Puello by decision. Peace out.